Sorry, initially I guess we are very delayed, but nevertheless, I'm a firm believer of making the most utility out of the limited resources you have. So friends, whoever is here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk about my dream. And then I'm going to show you how technology has empowered me to achieve my dream. And I know you have time for networking, but you still chose, so I just wanted to thank you for that. So I promise you that I'll wrap up in the next...
1:04 p.m.
Can we have the audio?
1:04 p.m.
1:04.
1:04 p.m.
Can we have more audio slightly so I can also hear?
1:04 p.m.
Brilliant. So it's 1:04 p.m. I promise I'll wrap it up in the next 30 minutes. And so just a little brief background, then I'll start. Because see, ladies and gentlemen, I lost my eyesight when I was 16. And I grew up in a very small town, Bhagalpur, Bihar. And I only had about 50% of my eyesight. I could never see the blackboard. I could never see what's around me. I was highly excluded from all the recreational activities. I remember going to school and not being able to participate because the perception or the stereotype, ladies and gentlemen, the teachers thought that I was incapable of learning. Just like a normal boy who always aspires to be included and be normal, so-called normal. I was never taken into a cricket team because I could never see the ball. Whoever the team that I get selected on would sure shot lose that game. I remember everyone feeling sorry for my parents because they perceived that their perception was that look at this guy who's probably going to lose all of his eyesight will have a dark future. The worst thing of the whole thing was I started to believe that I was incapable. I started to believe that I was worthless. I started to believe that I was good for nothing. Well, I never did my homework right. Never took interest towards studies. And as a result, my principal called my father and my uncle and demand, take this child away, he's good for nothing. My teachers never even bothered to invest their times because they believed that he is good for nothing. The whole thing of the scenario was, I started feeling frustrated. I started to feel like a burden on the society, and I never did anything. But I'm a firm believer that God has a plan for each one of us in this room and outside this room. And then God sent my uncle and my white American aunt to visit me, and then she shared an idea with my father. Can I take this child, give him education, and perhaps an eye treatment? Friends, my father jumped on the ideas, processed the paperwork, went to the US at the age of 9 years old. I could not even speak English. I was not used to the American cultures. I was not used to the languages. But I remember the first time I was asked to run a race. And as expected, I was the last person to touch the finishing line. My teacher, Greg Smith, he pulled me aside and he said, son, I think you did pretty good, but you have potential to do much better. At that moment, I did not believe him. I thought maybe these Americans are their way of making fun of me is by doing this. Well, I still remember the first report card where I was actually getting all Fs, 2 Ds, failing in all classes and getting 2 Ds, barely passing. Well, I was very scared to show my faces, and perhaps the same dialogue which I was used to back home in Bihar. Look at you, you are worthless. Look at the neighbor's sons, they're topping the class. Well, somehow I managed to find the courage and show the report card to my aunt. And she said, quote, honey, considering the fact that you've been to the United States for the first time, learning new languages, learning new culture, I think you did pretty good. But you have potential to do much better. Once again, the thought process came to me that perhaps I'm good for nothing. But these people are making fun of me again. But then again, another thought came to me. What would it be like if I actually study, if I actually did my interest, and if can I achieve academic excellence? And at that process, my dream was to get straight A's over 90%. And I actually started to take interest towards studies. I used to ask, I was never good at maths. I was pathetic at science. And I asked help from my teachers, and the teachers were so nice and supportive that they came to my home, and they even called me to their home to tutor me in the weak domain. Friends, I'm happy to announce that, in class 10, it came after 4 years, 5 years, but that hard works and effort actually paid off when I actually graduated, high school with over 90%. Well, thank you. So I can go on and on and on, but I wanted to share another story, which I think it's resilient. Again, going back to Swamiji's session yesterday, you have a choice. So in class 10, in my sophomore year, I started to experience a rapid deterioration in my sight. Suddenly, all things started to fade away. Darkness started to conquer me, and I started to sink into depressions. I was always questioning God and the nature. Why me? Why is it happening to me? You could have taken the sight away for all the people who has an evil intention, but why me? I absolutely went into depression. I started, have suicidal thoughts. And I even tried doing that, but I failed. Then some foolish thought said, God will create a miracle and my eyesight would be restored, but that miracle never happened. My teachers were trying to teach me alternative skills to overcome my disability, but I wasn't convinced. I started to drown deeper into depressions. I started to believe that this was the end of the life. How will I survive? I only had 50%. Now I'm getting close to 0%. My American aunt, she tried to convince me, who I call her mom, that, hey, honey, your eyes do not work, but your brain does. So why don't you make the most utility out of the limited resources you have? My teachers absolutely got irritated because he was trying to teach me all these alternative skills, but I was in complete denial that no, God will restore my eyesight and I will be happy after. I started, then one day he came to me and he said, Asif, you have two choices. Choice A, accept the fact you're going blind, do nothing, be miserable, be no one. Choice B, accept the fact you're going blind, learn alternative techniques to overcome them, and do wonders. And that clicked. I started to believe that yes, I can survive without my eyesight. I started to learn how to use a computer with the help of a screen reader. I started to learn how to cross the street. I started to learn how to cook independently. I started to learn how to iron my clothes. And I learned all those skill sets. And I again started to believe, yes, I can achieve academic excellence. And friends, I'm very happy to note, even in the graduation, without my eyesight, I graduated with over 90%. And thanks to the power of yes. So friends, I had to come back to India. And I will not go in that story, but I want to share one story before I actually wanted to show you how I use the technology. I was instrumental in creating reservation quota for the disabled across IIMs and IITs and all government educational institutions in 2000. And I was the first blind commerce graduate from St. Xavier's College, Calcutta. So, there's a whole story of MBA, but I will not go in the interest of time. But I wanted to share the story of recruitment. So we had a company visiting us on campus. And I remember, I will not name names, so my CV was shortlisted. And then when I got called and when I made it to the final after group discussions and personal interview, and the moment that HR person knew, and he said, sorry, I didn't know that you cannot see, I'm not able to take you. So I was a little disappointed, but I knew that I would have this kind of a story. Then the second company again came, and he said, oh, you should have told me that you were, otherwise I would not have sorted out your CV in the first place. Then again the third company said, oh, I would love to hire you. It would be a great, but I have not taken a permission of the line managers, so they will probably not approve. The fourth company, the moment they came to know me, my disability, and then they said, oh, I would have, loved to experiment, but I don't have my approval of my boss. Same lot of stories got rejected on campus, and I had the fear, what am I going to show my face? Am I going to go home without a placement? But I believe in creating opportunity for yourself, because you have to take charge of your life. And then I started, I did my summer internship at a shipping company, P&O Nerdlight. And then I started to kind of write to various, including Mr. Narayan Murthy, whether I can be considered for a possible role in Infosys in 2005. Well, and I was also read in the newspaper, and there was an Infocom event, which was a NASCOM event in Calcutta. So I somehow got connected to the organizer, and I wrote an email, and I gave a presentation on IT impact on the disabled. And Mr. Rupan Roy, who was a managing director of PwC India then, was part of my audience. And when I went to see him and wanted to say goodbye to him, he said, hey, Asif, would you like to come work for us? We have a large setup in there. I was extremely excited, started, and then when I went home, and I checked my mail in those days, and I had a pre-placement offer from P&O Nerdlight. Well, that was in Bombay, and one incident happened. Actually, my brother-in-law passed away. So it was and he was very young. He was only 38, and he passed away due to some unfortunate incident. And my entire family was in a grief. I didn't know what to do, how to support, except then I had to, accept the job offer at Calcutta. And that's how I got connected. And in the last 11 years, I've been extremely involved in HR consulting role. I have been involved in setting up HR departments for small, medium enterprises. And in the last 4 or 5 years, I've been now into e-governance consultant. So most people even ask me, how do I work? And I don't feel bad if I, because I've been asked by, very respected industrialists, very, very knowledgeable, and I have a deep respect for them, like people like Anand Mahindra, people like Oti Godrej. So I use a screen reader on my laptop, and I will just show it to you how I do it.
Windows D. Windows D.
So I cannot.
Alt Tab.
Just 1 second. Here we go.
Windows D. Lost focus. Windows D.
Is it locked or something?
Title is desktop.
Okay.
Output underline asks.j. JAWS set B.
Okay, set.
Home FS Reader 3.B. Backup. Enter. Backup items view L libraries. Enter libraries D documents. Enter documents items view multi select list box not selected tab 22/01/26 PR presentation. Enter presentation P Pro power of ordinary people. Enter.
So
Opening
I
dash.
wanted to show you how I
Opening dash
work.
power.
So I have, just one second. And I will talk to you more in details how this technology works.
Slide 2. Beginning of PW. Beginning.
This has some limitations. It does not read out the graphics, but I'm assuming with the technology accelerating, someday, even now in the Facebook, it actually describes.
Slide 3. Fun times.
This is me going down a mountain. It is about 120 feet down. This is a place called Mahabaleshwar. And the best part is not being able to see is an advantage because you don't know what's coming down.
Correct. Cool. Clap guys. Sexy. Amazing. Ruja recording कर रहा है पूरा. Amazing.
It's coming? Okay.
Amazing.
Okay.
Fun times. Slide 3. Slide 4. Governor Award. Deco.
Another image.
Slide 5. National Awards.
Another image.
Slide 6. Scary moments. Asif.
Yeah. I generally don't get scared, but riding a camel was in fact नानी दादी सब याद आ गई थी इस पे. हाँ.
Slide 7. B-School Journey.
I will not play the whole
Slide 8.
thing.
Fortunate event. DS.
So I had my proud privilege of meeting Dr. Abdul Kalam about 7-8 times. Worked on a project. It was not successful, but
Slide 9. Chief Mentor Dash. Slide 9. Chief Mentor Dash.
yeah, and then I got to deliver and be a co-panelist with Mr. Narayan Murthy. This was my proud moments.
Slide 10. Inclusive India Conference.
Then again, Kiran Bedi ma'am. So
Slide 11. Chairman Dash Uday.
I also worked on Aadhaar. I was responsible. I was part of a team which was responsible for designing and implementing in social inclusion strategy by which, you know, not only disabled but homeless, leprosy affected people can be enrolled onto Aadhaar.
Slide 12. Santosh Colony at Hyderabad.
Okay, this is leprosy affected people that got enrolled in Hyderabad.
Slide 13. Maharashtra.
This is in Maharashtra.
Slide 14. My family.
Okay, next slide is very interesting. I'm driving a car actually. It's not a real car, but it's a driving a car.
Slide 15. Accessible.
Thank you so much. All right, so
Slide 16. Contact details.
I wanted to show you how
Escape.
other application works. So let me ask you a
No
question.
selection.
If it is yes, then say I. How many people are on Facebook? If yes, say I. Okay, brilliant. How many people are on LinkedIn? If yes, say I. Brilliant. How many people are on Twitter? If yes, say I. Brilliant. And how many people use WhatsApp? If yes, say I. Can you believe it? I am also part of your club. Right? So, yeah. And please follow me on Twitter also. And that is @Asif 4 change. Right? Because that's what I do is I believe in leading change. I believe in being a part of the solution rather than complain. So let me show you how other technology works.
Windows T. Taskbar Internet Explorer E. Excel 2013. Enter. Opening
Okay.
dash Excel.
So
Excel. Select and paste 2.0. Escape.
So
Excel.
this
Book
is
1.
an Excel
Book
sheet.
1. Dash Excel.
Okay?
Sheet 1.
And I don't use a mouse. I use a keyboard entirely.
Land A2.
Okay.
Land A1.
Okay. And
5, 3, 2, 1, 53, 21. Enter. Land 5, 3, 1, 65, 31. Enter. Land A3. Book
so
1.
it says enter blank 3, right? So it tells you the cell reference. It tells you everything where you're at.
6, 5, 3, 2, 1, 65,321. Enter.
Okay.
Land 6, 4, 3, 2, 64, 32. Enter. Land A5. Type in the range. Enter. Land A6. 83,605 has formed.
Brilliant. So and so you're probably saying, okay, what if you have a row of data and if you have a series of data, how would you manage that? It's also very simple. I'll just show it to you.
Microsoft Excel. Want to save your changes to apostrophe book 1? Tab. Don't save button. Space. Excel. Control O. Backstage view. Shift tab. Recent workbooks group box. Home. MS 2015.xlsx button. C
All
colon
right.
/user. Enter.
So I have a
MS2015.
mission is
MS20.
to educate and influence, and I have a jihad to create 1 million financial Indians, financial independence Indians who are not only an asset to the community but can contribute to the development.